Welcome back. It's time to review the front pages of our national dailies and see what made it there. As usual, we kickstart with Daily Trust. Dozens of schoolgirls abducted in Kebbi, and that's on pages 3, 4, and 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And just above that, we have federal government inches towards inflation target, and that's on page 14 of the Daily Trust. If you want more on that story, Taraba Speaker, 15 PDP lawmakers defect to APC. That's on page 11 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Media veteran Dan Agbese dies at 81, and that's on page 7 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And also we have make justice affordable, accessible to poor, Tinubu tells judges, and that's on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Gunmen kill brigadier commander in Borno, and that's on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And Cameroon opposition candidate declares self-president-elect, and that's on page 24 of the Daily Trust newspaper. If you want more on that story, and 2 children die as fire got buildings in rivers. That's on page 25 of the Daily Trust. If you need more on the stories, do well to grab yourself a copy to stay informed.
All right, next up, we have Vanguard newspaper right in front. How bandits kidnapped 25 Kebbi schoolgirls. That's on page 5 of the Vanguard. At the top left, we have Fabio, Mark, Shehu. Others mourn a media icon, Dan Agbese, dies at 81. That's on page 7 of the Vanguard. Tinubu to judiciary. Justice must never be for sale. That's on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. Pope warns against escalating violence, persecution against Christians in Nigeria. That is on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. Food inflation still rising, but at slower pace. That's on page 19 of the Vanguard. PDP, tension as factions battle for Wadata Secretariat. That's on page 26 of the Vanguard newspaper. Taraba Speaker, 15 PDP Assembly members defect to APC. That's on page 13. Tension in Enugu community as Governor Mba's kinsmen protest alleged military invasion. That's on page 8. Eric Chele accuses Congo DR of using voodoo. That's on page 32. And right in front, there's a picture of the Duke of Edinburgh visiting President Bola Tinubu. That is all we have on the Vanguard newspaper. Make sure you grab yourself a copy and stay informed.
Next up, we have The Guardian, and we have declining food prices. Firma Naira pull inflation to 15% national target, and that's on page 6. We also have mass defections. Indumi predict implosion in APC, and that's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And also genocide, U.S. lawmakers alleges Tinubu lying, protecting own interests, and that's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. PDP crisis may consume 2 governors, others as factions, fixed parallel meetings, and that's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Security fears deepening over schoolgirls abduction, slain general amid new assault, and that's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Obasanjo fire shade trade wars over birthday fallout, and that's on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper if you want more on that story. In media, Watt Smith, Dan Agbese dies at 81 as LNC others mourn, and that's on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. NIMSI issues 124 million names as poor interagency relations, still data harmonization, and that's on page 15 of the Guardian newspaper. 16 Taraba PDP lawmakers join APC ahead of Kefas, and that's on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. And lastly, we have Wiki military land. Dowder insists on rule of law, and that's on page 2, and also more details on pages 26, 27, and 28 of the Guardian newspaper. If you want more on that story, do well to grab yourself a copy of the Guardian newspaper to stay informed. Now, joining us to review some of the headlines on the pages of today's newspaper is the Program Director of Daily Trust Foundation, Dr. Theophilus Abba. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, first off, let's look at this headline. Dozens of schoolgirls abducted in Kebbi. I mean...
Well, it's another sad story that we're having another adoption of schoolgirls. I think it was in 2014 that we had the Chibok girls who were abducted. And after that, we have series of adoptions of school children. You know, and it's quite disturbing that at this time we are having another abduction from schools. You know, we know that the way terrorists operate, they will repeat a strategy that has been successful. They keep repeating that strategy. You know, they did it in Chibok, they did it in Yobe, they did it in several other places.
And it even happened before, according to reports.
Yes,
Still in
Kebbi. It has happened before in Kebbi.
Abducting 86 students.
So the unfortunate thing is that we did not do what we ought to do. Because if they are abducting schoolgirls, to the point that I think one of the vice principal or the principal was killed.
The vice principal.
Vice principal was killed. It means that there was a space of maybe 15, 20 minutes, you understand, enough space for somebody to alert security agencies, somebody to call the police, to call the army. This is happening here. You know, if you see how these things happen in the West, where we copy a whole lot of things about security, if there's an incident in an institution, in 5 minutes, you know, you see security men will arrive, the police will arrive, you know. But in this case, there was enough time for them to have that scuffle, enough time for them to load these children into whatever vehicle they came with and take them away. There was enough time. And then we will ask ourselves, that community, you know, there's supposed to be maybe a police post, maybe some army post, maybe some other security posts are supposed to be there. But then they were taken from that place, maybe they passed through some major routes, no interception by security agencies or whatsoever, and then they have entered into whatever you call the forest. Now, this is not, I mean, how many countries, you know, run their schools. We had a safe school project, and of course it was funded by the World Bank or whatsoever. And one of the things that the project was supposed to do was to fence the schools, you know, ensure that there's fence around all the school buildings, so that this kind of thing, people will not just come in and take children away, you know, from whatsoever angle. If there's only one gate, and these guys want to pass through that gate to go out, and there was security, you can block them and say you cannot go. You understand? Maybe you call for reinforcement, you bring in soldiers, bring in police, that look, this is happening here. But the thing is that the Safe School project, you know, even though a lot of money entered into it, has not been able to provide that kind of security in our schools. So we keep saying it, that you must fence all schools. You must fence, even if the school is in, I don't know, in a Bayelsa state. Because if this guy did it in Borno, they did it in Yobe, they've done it in Katsina, is that not? Now they are doing it in Kebbi. It means that they can do it anywhere. You know, so we have to provide, security, because it can happen. And I think it even happened in Ondo State, you know, where some school children were abducted. I think in Ondo State. So there's nowhere, if they have done it in the place, they will repeat it. So it's quite unfortunate that this is happening, and what we'll be hearing is negotiation. You know, in the case, I think there was a previous one that the school children were with the bandits for several months. You know, I think
even the one in Kebbi, it took 2 years to
2 years
for the administration to recover
to recover the
girls,
school.
yes.
So now you are having another experience. Wait a minute, you don't want these young girls in the northwest to go to school. Parents say no, don't go to school because bandits are targeting schools. I don't want to lose you. It's quite an unfortunate situation.
Definitely. All right, still looking at insecurity, we had gunmen kill brigade commander in Borno. What is your take on that? How is that even something that would be easily possible in Nigeria?
You know, I think something happened in recent months, or maybe let me say since 2022. I think maybe 2018 or so. You know, when Boko Haram started using drones. Now, they now have the communication facility, you know, which they use even to monitor what the security operatives are doing. You know, so it's like turning the tide, turning the table. We thought that it's the Nigerian government who should have this infrastructure, this facility to be able to deal with criminals. But now what we have discovered is that they are the ones who monitor, you know, the activities of the military. What happened in this case was that there was an ambushment. They ambushed these guys. So the Nigerian Air Force bombardment led to his safety. So he was able to escape. Now, for him to be rescued, you know, I think he was communicating with maybe the military so that they can locate him wherever he was. The communication was intercepted by ISWAP. And they went there, picked him. And I can just imagine, we are supposed to be the ones intercepting the communication of terrorists and going after them. Now, terrorists are intercepting the communication of our own security, operating soldiers, and then acting based on those interceptions. You know, it is totally unbelievable. Since this report came out, I felt humiliated sincerely as a Nigerian that these terrorists who should be on the run, they are now using technology to monitor our own security operatives instead of it to be the other way around. The security should to monitor them and say, oh, this is what these guys are doing, this is where they are, let us go after them. And if you look at the whole lot of things that have happened in Borno, you are granting them amnesty, you are absorbing them, you are even paying some of them salary, you say, no, they have repented and not just another. You see, it's unbelievable that we have a system that is confusing. I can't understand why this will happen to us.
All right, Mimna.
All right, before we go, we don't have enough time. Let's take a look at this headline. Taraba Speaker, 15 PDP lawmakers defect to APC ahead of Governor Kefas. As we know, he'll be joining the APC officially on Wednesday. And I'm asking the question, is the APC ship that big enough to, you know, absorb all of...
Carry all the
absolutely, because you're 15 and I know we're still going to count down for more people to defect.
Well, I think
from the PDP.
It's if you look at it, people are leaving PDP, you know, because of the crisis in PDP. You know, the law says that if there is crisis in your party, then you can leave. You cannot. Even today, while I was coming to the office, I had to do a decoy. I wanted to pass through Wadata Plaza, that is zone 5, but I saw heavy presence of security men, you know, all over the road. So I now had to do a decoy to take another route to come to the office. So, you see, there's crisis in the PDP. And what those who are not interested in the crisis are doing is, look, let me just leave. Because the way it is, the way we are going, this party cannot help me in 2027. You know, so that's what is happening in our own political space. Everybody is going to APC, but there will be confusion in APC as well, because when interests begin to clash, for instance, there was a governorship candidate in Taraba State in 2023. He was a governorship candidate under APC, but Kefas defeated him as a PDP candidate. Now, if they want to do another election, this person wants to come back,
who will contest?
You know, to contest, you know, under APC. So there will be that contest, and it's most likely that they will say, well, we give the ticket to the governor. You know, let him have the right of first refusal. So that can lead to a lot of crisis, but not only in Taraba State. In almost every state, that people have moved from other parties to join APC, because the persons who are there right now, they may align with another political party. Maybe not PDP, maybe they may go to ADC and then fight it out. Because, you know, a one-party state is not possible in Nigeria. The one-party state is not possible. Right. Because there are a lot of people who are interested in political power, and they will have to fight for that power.
Yeah. All right, let's look at this one. Make justice affordable, accessible to poor, Tinubu tells judges. What is your take on this? And do you think that it is something that would be achieved in Nigeria with the way our judiciary system is set up?
Well, I think justice is for sale in Nigeria, because no matter the case you have, and before you go to a judge, you must have a lot of money. And it's quite difficult for one to get justice in Nigerian court. You can go there, you know, for you can get judgment, but not justice. Because if you don't have the money, you can't. Number one, you start with the lawyers. You have to pay the lawyer to do his job. And then we hear, they put it that we hear that even lawyers, they have to pay some judges. There are some category of judges that if you take your case to them, you pay. If you pay the right, if you pay the right price, you get what you want. And there's so many examples. I think the president was speaking from, that point of knowledge, that there's a whole lot of money that goes into justice, or maybe obtaining judgment in Nigeria, and it shouldn't be so. Because if you go to a court of law, you expect that, the judge will interpret the law in line with, your favor, if you have the right argument or you have the right evidence. But in Nigeria, it is not the evidence that matters. It's not the evidence that, especially political cases, it's not the evidence that matters. It's actually the money that you can bring out that actually matters. So it's not good for Nigeria. I think there was a report that was done, written by the MBS, which says that the judiciary is the most corrupt institution in Nigeria. Yes, the judiciary followed by the police. They were seen to be the most corrupt institutions in Nigeria.
All right.
So I think the president was speaking from that position, and I think that the judges, the chief CJN, and all those who are the top echelon of the judiciary should make sure that they deliver themselves from this condition.
Thank you very much, Dr. Theophilus Abba, for shedding so much light on the headlines of our national dailies.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right. And with that, we've come to the end of a Daybreak on Trust TV. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. so you don't miss out on engaging and interesting conversations, as always. I'm Hawa Adan Kiawa. Thank you for watching.
And I am Mimuna Bagudu. Do what follows on all of our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more news. Have a great day and stay safe.